Trainers, welcome aboard. I think one thing we have to do is define our outcomes. What is it we actually want? And so we have to set goals and objectives. If an objective is defined as the ultimate outcome that you really want, goals then are steps along the way. And there are several goals. And one is the implementation and the planning of a safety management system. The outcome, the final outcome, or the objective, is a safe operation. Trainers, the first thing you have to do is develop some concept of what SMS is all about. And you might make that more understandable for your students if you make a comparison between the safety management system and any aircraft system. If you understand how any aircraft system works, your chances of managing that system to get the outcome you want, which is safety, is much more likely. You're much more likely to be safe if you know how the hydraulic system of the aircraft works, or the electric system, or the fuel system. And if you can manage that system, your outcomes are going to be better. So what about the concept of managing the way we operate our whole business in terms of looking for safe outcomes? It's a system. It's a way of operation. And if we learn how to manage that, we can make it work for us and increase our chances of a safe operation. They'll have studied these in class. They'll certainly be interested. It's a fairly easy comparison because with an aircraft system, we learn to manage it, we get the right outcomes we want. We can handle an emergency if necessary. With SMS, same story. Keep in mind our audience, and the audience is the young people in our flying schools, and we call them the Gen Y, Generation Y. They're a little different from old crocs like myself. They have a different culture. So identifying some elements of that culture is going to be part of SMS too. But no matter what you do, there are certain things that Transport Canada absolutely requires. 6 basic points that you have to get this across to your students. Number 1 is the safety management plan. Number 2, documentation. Number 3, safety oversight. Number 4, training. Number 5, quality assurance. And number 6, the emergency response plan, by which, if something goes wrong, we have some way of handling it. These are essentials. We're accountable for that. We're accountable to one another. We're accountable to the regulator. Above all, we're accountable to the concept of safety in our company. The safety management plan is like a blueprint for action. It contains the structure of our organization, the responsibilities each person has, and that extends from the accountable executive who heads it all and is responsible for all of it, right down to the rest of us and all our responsibilities. And our students need to know that they're part of this, and they have a lot of responsibilities too. Every part of that blueprint requires documentation, and those start with the safety policy. That governs the whole philosophy of the organization, and it makes it pretty clear that our students are part of that too. They also include records of reports, report forms, training records, evidence of investigations, and specific outcomes of those investigations in terms of corrective action plans, and some evidence that those corrective action plans have been revisited. If there is a report, then under SMS, that report has to be filed with a safety manager or safety officer, depending on how you structure your SMS, and it will be investigated. Now, who the investigator is, very often is a manager or someone fairly senior in the company with something of a strong background in investigation, and that person will identify, perhaps with consultation with others, and that's the ideal situation, I think, and come up with some kind of corrective action plan. We call them CAPs. The initial training, which everybody receives when they come into the company, is a training on the actual structure of the SMS system, duties and responsibilities of everyone, right from the accountable executive down to the rest of us. And after that, there's periods of recurrent training. At the very least, recurrent training is annual, but in the course of the year, there will be periods of time when there are some safety surveys, which in effect are training, because they ask the kind of questions you need to answer to be part of the survey. And there's even some competitions, perhaps, for new ideas in safety. So that's all part of recurrent training. Anything that gets people thinking about SMS is recurrent training. And trainers, there will be times when you simply have to inform your students about some of the important aspects of SMS. One of those is going to be the quality assurance program and the importance of making sure that we are, in fact, keeping our promises to do what we say we're going to be doing. And we're going to have to demonstrate this to the auditors when they come and take a look to make sure we're on track. The most critical part of quality assurance is it's just a way of reminding us and helping us to ensure that we've kept our promises, that we've actually done that which we said we would do, and we have evidence to show it. In an emergency situation, that's not a time to improvise. The emergency preparedness plan is a documented series of events, of procedures we take when there is an emergency. It's something that we have to follow pretty carefully. If there's emotions or confusion about a situation, we'll have a documented procedure to deal with it. If I had to have a single icon for what we want in SMS, it's going to be that flock of Canada geese going across the sky at night. And you hear them honking and you look up, they're talking to each other. I'm not sure what they're saying. But for probably 1,000 years or more, people wondered, why do they fly in that certain pattern? It works for them because what happened, and the aerodynamic people, the engineers, the scientists, discovered that the strongest goose is out front, and the strongest geese generally leading, and they put a lot of energy into that, and they re-energize the flow of air across the wings of the whole flock. So the weaker ones, the smaller ones, get the advantage of increased lift. And they take turns leading. And in fact, the actual range that flock can fly is a fantastic number. 71% by one researcher. That was the figure given, a 71% increase in range. And that is not a bad icon, or a metaphor if you want to call it, for what we're trying to do. By working together, we can improve safety. We are responsible for one another. We've just reviewed the 6 basic concepts of SMS that Transport Canada requires we teach our students. You'll find lots of additional information on those 6 basic concepts in the resources section on our website.